Once, all kinds of strangenesses hid somewhere far away, in wild places on old films, and in stories told by eyewitnesses. Yet now it feels as if the planet itself has decided to go live. The sky paints fiery spheres, strange rings, funnels near the collider. Glowing objects hover above sacred sites, and in many places there are bloody rains and invasions of insects. The earth cracks, metallic precipitation appears, and familiar food suddenly glows, melts, or behaves as if it were not made for human beings. Today on TopFacts, there's a huge selection from our episodes on the topic of shocking sky anomalies, UFOs, and simply phenomena that make your skin crawl. In the English town of Southend-on-Sea, something was filmed that logic refuses to accept. A bird was frozen in the air, literally. It did not flap its wings, did not fall, did not move. It just hung in one spot. You can see power lines nearby, but there is no obvious wire in the video that the bird could have gotten caught on. No matter what angle people filmed from, it was hard to find an explanation. Yes, sometimes strong wind can create the illusion of hovering, but in this case, it feels as if the bird got stuck somewhere between worlds. If you still doubt that we live in a simulation, this fragment will just add fuel to the fire. In the video, someone is filming a landscape that looks as if the person has reached the edge of the set. It is as if the world simply ends in a straight line, just like in the movie The Truman Show, where the real world was actually a giant studio. No one knows the exact location of the filming, who the cameraman is, or who uploaded it. That only heightens suspicion and gives more room for imagination. What if someone really stumbled upon the edge of the map? A video appeared online in which a section of ground suddenly begins to rise up by about 3 meters. The soil seems to breathe and pushes up a slab of earth, lifting it above the surrounding surface. People panic. Is this a sign of the apocalypse? At first, theories were put forward about tectonic shifts or the accumulation of methane under the ground. But geologists dismissed these explanations. And in the end, to this day, nobody really understands what exactly happened. Clouds, as we know, always move. Except this one. In 2023, over Sydney, Australia, a dark, smoky cloud was filmed just hanging in one place. It did not shift even a centimeter, though the sky around it was moving. It looked strange, uneven, almost drawn on. There is still no official explanation. One of the theories links such phenomena to geoengineering, large-scale technological processes in the atmosphere. In a quiet coastal town in Tottori Prefecture, Japan, residents witnessed a sight that many at first took for an alien invasion. Over the sea, vertical pillars of light appeared in the sky like heavenly spotlights. People filmed it on their phones, posted it online, and built theories about spaceships. But the explanation turned out to be much simpler. These were fishing boats illuminating the sea with powerful lamps. The light was reflecting in the atmosphere and creating the effect of heavenly columns. Some people had seen this phenomenon 3 or 4 times over 10 years, but for many it was their first such show. An ordinary, natural, and man-made phenomenon that looks absolutely fantastic. In one South Asian country, a mysterious video was filmed in a cave. At first, you can only see a ball of light, but as the image stabilizes, the light begins to gather into the shape of a human. Little by little, the outline of a face, eyes, and a mouth appears. Voices of people are heard around, chanting a mantra, and apparently worshiping this glowing image as a deity. Did the camera capture a miracle, a heavenly being, or just a carefully prepared illusion? It is up to the viewer to decide. Next are frames that make it feel as if the very interface of the world is rebooting. In the video, posted by a user on social media, you can see a sky that literally changes color and themes in a fraction of a second. It is as if someone is flipping through presets in an editor. One shade, then another, then strange gradients. It looks as if the screen of reality itself glitches for a moment. Maybe it is a rare natural phenomenon or a play of light and camera. But one thing is obvious. There is no way you can just scroll past a sky like that. In the next video is something that seems completely out of context, but in terms of weirdness, fits perfectly into this collection. At a railway station, they are filming a strange object hovering above the ground, surrounded by flashes and sparks. Later, it was explained as ball lightning. Static electricity accumulated and formed a glowing ball that started to float freely near the tracks. The phenomenon is extremely rare, but quite real, and it looks as if a piece of a thunderstorm had broken off from the sky. Who needs an alarm system and cameras when you have a little human-like creature living in your yard? Vietnam. The mistress of a house checks the doors in the evening and suddenly notices out of the corner of her eye that something flashed across the yard. She walks closer, sees a strange figure, and in panic runs back into the house. The creature tries to hide behind the door. This crow definitely skips leg day, but its upper body is pumped to perfection. In a Japanese shopping mall, people noticed a bird that looked way too buff. Instead of sitting on its legs, the crow seemed to be leaning on its wings, showing off a broad chest and a strong torso. The clip instantly went viral, and the crow was nicknamed Gorilla Crow. Honestly, the name fits it perfectly. In the next video, it seems like a person accidentally walked into a parallel world. At first, we see an ordinary reflection in a shop window. Houses, a street, trees, everything as usual. But when the person with the camera takes a step forward, it feels like they literally enter this reflection. The scene around them changes. Everything flips, like in a mirror world. The houses and trees look as if you are viewing them from an alternate reality. It might be a filming trick, properties of the glass, or editing, but it looks as if someone briefly showed us a second version of the world. A tourist in Taiwan filmed a video that is both mesmerizing and frightening. At first, it seems that he is walking on some artificial floor or some kind of inflatable surface. But this is not an amusement attraction. This is real ground under his feet. The surface of the soil moves in waves, as if something alive is underneath it. Later, it turned out that millions, or maybe even billions, of centipedes were crawling under the ground. The sight is hypnotic, but you have to admit, pretty disgusting. Strange things are happening all over the world, but some of them break even the toughest minds. In one video shot at sunset, a person noticed a flash in the sky that repeated again and again. The object was surrounded by dark smoke and moved as if it were a giant jellyfish swimming through the air. What it was? A ship, an atmospheric phenomenon, a drone, an experiment, or something living? Nobody ever really figured out. But the video made many people think once again about how little we actually know about our own sky. Next come two different cases that are as similar as two drops of rain. In both videos, people watch in amazement as rain falls, only in one single spot. In one case, water pours exactly on one car, and around it, everything is dry. In the other, a narrow column of rain hits just one specific area, and the neighboring zones stay untouched. Everything else is clean. The asphalt is dry, and in one spot it is as if someone turned on a shower. It looks as if nature itself glitched and got the coordinates wrong. Who needs a hammock when you have a sloth mom? In the video, there is a scene that is touching and strange at the same time. A mother sloth and her baby are sleeping, hanging in a very uncomfortable-looking position. It seems that you could last a couple of minutes like that at most. But sloths do not care. They have special tendons in their paws and feet that kind of lock in place, and allow them to hang upside down for as long as they want without getting tired. Yes, these animals can literally sleep hanging in the air, and they look as if they have perfect abs and superpowers against gravity. Now, to the United Kingdom, to a shore where a fisherman noticed a strange light in the water several years ago. At first, it seemed like a normal reflection or some kind of equipment, but later it became clear that this was a glowing sea creature that was soon seen again in those waters. A few days later, news broke. A boat in that area had capsized under mysterious circumstances, and the person who had been on board was never found. It was not the glow of plankton. Plankton usually glows blue. This light looked different, almost alien. And the fact that someone's death is connected with it makes the story even darker. If you see something like that in the water, you had better paddle away. What you are picturing right now is not an ordinary river. In 2015, after heavy rain and hail in Jordan, a river of frozen water and ice mixed with sand flowed through the desert. Blocks of ice in the dense flow looked unreal, as if white-gray icy lava was flowing through the desert. The sight was mesmerizing, but the consequences were serious. Destruction, damaged roads and vehicles, and traces of the disaster that took a long time to eliminate. Has AI finally decided to make the first strike? Or is this just a glitch in the system? In China, in the city of Zhengzhou, during a light show above a shopping mall, hundreds of drones were launched into the sky. They lined up beautifully and even formed the name of the shopping center in the sky. Everything was going perfectly, until some of the drones suddenly went dark and began to fall down. The drones crashed into cars, buildings, and fell right onto a street full of people. Panic broke out. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but the spectacle looked as if an entire army of iron insects had suddenly refused to obey commands. Tonight, a strange blue light was seen in the sky. That is roughly how dozens of messages from people in Spain and Portugal looked. A lot of videos appeared online. A huge meteor crosses the dark sky, leaving a bright glowing trail behind it. People filmed it on their phones and posted it on social media. Many wrote that something like this happens only once in a lifetime. Here's another fragment that is hard to believe at first glance. In the video, a woman is carrying in her arms a live lion, a real, roaring, struggling lion. The animal starts behaving more and more aggressively, roaring and jerking around. And at some point, the woman gives up and puts him down on the ground. Who she is, where this lion came from, and whether he is her pet, nobody knows. But the scene of a person casually lugging a large predator in their arms looks absolutely unreal. Have you ever heard of a phenomenon called a fire whirl or fire tornado? That is exactly what we see in the first clip. A man lights a fire on a cold winter day, and suddenly the flame begins to spiral. The wind picks up the hot air, forming a rotating column of sparks, smoke, and tongues of flame. This phenomenon arises when intense heating and air movement create a vortex that grabs the fire and turns it into a mini tornado. It looks impressive, but it is extremely dangerous. Such a whirl can instantly spread fire over a huge area. In one shocking video from Texas, people looked up at the sky and were literally struck speechless. High above them, something strange was happening. In the sky, a spectacle was unfolding that looked like an alien invasion. Many decided that this was the end of the world. People panicked. Emergency services were flooded with calls. But wait, let us not rush to be afraid. Later, it turned out that there was nothing supernatural at all. It was a Falcon 9 rocket firing its engines to adjust its course. When sunlight hit the gases in the upper layers of the atmosphere, a real light show flared up in the sky. In Norilsk, Russia, a married couple looked out of the window of their house and accidentally caught something very strange on camera. In the distance, on the territory of a factory, they noticed a figure that looked like a human. This figure was glowing so brightly that it seemed to be made of pure fire or plasma. When the couple zoomed in to get a better look at this creature, they were literally stunned. The strange person was moving as if it were absolutely normal for them to stroll around a factory and shine like a spotlight. The possessed doll. That is what it was called on a popular morning show. A married couple came on air and brought a doll with them, claiming that it was possessed. I would not say that it is straight 100% possessed, but there is definitely something wrong with it, the husband carefully explained. He told how he was calmly taking a shower one day and suddenly felt a strong burning sensation on his leg. He looked down, and there were a bunch of scratches. While the couple were sharing their story, the doll was just sitting on a chair in the studio. And then, without any explanation at all, it began to rock back and forth, as if something invisible was pushing it. The wife turned pale and could not even bring herself to look in the direction of the doll. "Deb, you do not even want to look at it?" "No, I am scared. I do not even want to touch it." In November 1987 in Chicago, something happened on air that viewers still remember to this day. A strange person in a Max Headroom mask suddenly appeared on the screen. The broadcast was literally hijacked. Viewers were forced to watch a creepy mess of distorted sounds and weird, unnerving movements from the unknown figure. This strange session lasted almost 2 minutes, but imprinted itself in people's memories for decades. To this day, nobody knows who was behind this stunt or why they did it. Next comes something that will probably make your eye twitch with disbelief. A video appeared online that thousands of users called a glitch in the Matrix. At first glance, everything looks normal. A person walks through a turnstile. But if you look closely, you notice a detail that makes your brain refuse to believe your eyes. The metal bar of the turnstile seems to pass right through the person's leg, as if they were transparent. Some viewers are sure that there is a simple explanation here: the angle, the quality of the video, dropped frames. But personally, I prefer to believe that sometimes reality itself glitches. It is even kind of nice to be slightly in an illusion now and then, right? On the 4th of June 2024, residents of Tehran, Iran, saw something in the sky that gave goosebumps even to skeptics. Different people from different parts of the city started filming the same thing: a huge round object with green lights slowly gliding through the night sky. The UFO was visible from afar, and dozens of eyewitnesses uploaded their clips. When the footage matched up, many decided this is real proof of the presence of aliens on Earth. This fragment is both strange and very funny at the same time. A home security camera recorded a stray cat who, in the middle of the night, alone, seems to be dancing in front of a house. The internet exploded. The video went viral on social media. But of course, this is the work of neural networks, because a single cat simply cannot move like that. Yet this does not make the video any less hilarious. August 2021. A regular television broadcast. And suddenly the air is sharply interrupted by a strange fragment. On the screen appears a scene that looks very much like a satanic ritual. In the frame, there are people in a gloomy setting, an incomprehensible ceremony, and a feeling that you have become a witness to something that was not meant for outsiders at all. The creepiest part is that there are clearly cameras inside the room where this is happening. That means someone deliberately filmed and transmitted this bizarre moment. In one clip, a child is quietly playing in a room when a strange ball of light suddenly flies into the space. It darts around the room, making odd crackling sounds like a tiny lightning bolt bouncing off the air. Some believe that this is a rare natural phenomenon, ball lightning. Others are sure that the movements of the ball are too intentional. as if it is choosing its own path. People online even wrote that it might be a fairy or some kind of spirit. Whether that is true or not remains a mystery, but the footage looks as if the element itself decided to peek into the house. I have two humps, but one of them looks underdeveloped. It is a camel without a head. That is roughly how you could describe what people on safari saw. In the video, it looks as if a camel is walking across the desert with no head at all. The couple filming the event were shocked and tried to figure out how such a thing was even possible. But as soon as the camel takes a few steps and turns, all the magic disappears. The head is right where it should be. It was just hidden by the angle and the position of the body. Sometimes the craziest things are nothing but camera tricks and perspective. Do not worry, in this video, no camel had to grow a new head. She is glitching like in a video game. That is exactly how people reacted when they saw this video. On one of the streets of London, a woman was standing as if someone had hit the pause button. She froze in place, completely motionless. No movement, no reaction. A moment later, she started walking again as if nothing had happened, like everything was perfectly normal. For her, apparently, there was no freeze at all. When a plane takes off, we expect to see it rushing through the sky. But in these videos, we get a completely different picture. Two planes seem to be hanging in the air, like in a paused frame. They do not fall, they do not fly, they just stay still in the sky. Most often, this is explained by a strong headwind and the angle of view. The plane is moving, but relative to the person filming it, appears stationary. However, viewers really want to believe something else, that sometimes there truly are glitches in our reality. In a small village in the state of Kerala, India, the locals were frightened by a strange object, an ordinary-looking ladder. In the video, you can see the ladder seemingly walking on its own. Nobody is touching it. There are no people around, and yet it slowly moves along the ground as if it has a will of its own. Superstitious residents immediately decided that the ladder was cursed or possessed. After that, more videos of living ladders started to appear. But in reality, it was much simpler. The light ladder was being pushed by the wind and pressure differences. Sometimes the explanation is ridiculously simple, even if what you see on the screen looks like pure mysticism. Imagine you look up at the sky, and instead of one sun, there are 7. That is exactly what a woman named Wan filmed in the city of Chengdu, China. In the video, you can see 7 bright glowing spots lined up in the sky, looking like copies of the sun shining in a row. The footage looks like it was cut out of a science fiction movie. People could not understand what was going on. A parallel reality? A space experiment? Later, it was explained very simply. It was an optical illusion. Light passed through several layers of glass in a hospital window and reflected in such a way that one sun turned into several on camera. But you have to admit, for a second, it is nice to imagine that it was real. In 2020, a scene worthy of a horror movie unfolded near one man's house. In a fenced-off area stood hundreds of sheep, and all of them were absolutely motionless. It seemed as if time itself had stopped for them. He is just standing there, menacing, the author of the video recalls. Some people explained it like this. The animals heard a predator and froze so as not to give themselves away. Others insisted that this was yet another glitch in the matrix. Whatever the case, seeing something like that with your own eyes would be very unsettling. First, just picture this image in your mind. A strange glow in the clouds, a column of smoke, and suddenly, something striking straight into a massive cloud, making it literally burst apart. In the video, people first think that the main thing is the unusual glowing cloud. Then it seems that it is the mysterious smoke rising from the ground. But the real mystery is the bright glowing sphere that strikes right into the giant cloud, and after that, the cloud seems to explode and crumble downward. A plane passenger was filming the view from the window and suddenly noticed a dark shadow in the distance. At first, he thought that it might be another plane or some object in the sky. But as it got closer, the figure became clearer and started to look suspiciously human. In the video, you can see something very similar to a human silhouette flying at the same altitude as the plane. At some point, the figure seems to turn toward the camera, as if noticing that it is being filmed, and then suddenly darts away. Oh my God, what is that? That is how people, judging by the recording, were reacting. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to go outside at night and see two moons at once? In 2021, residents of Dubai witnessed exactly this scene. In the sky hung two bright bodies that looked like two moons side by side. People filmed videos, took photos, and came up with the boldest theories, from portals to alien interference. But soon the truth came out. It was a massive PR stunt by the UAE government in honor of a Mars mission. They projected images of Mars moons, Phobos, and Deimos into the sky. Still, everyone got to feel, at least for a moment, like inhabitants of a fantastic world with several moons overhead. In 2022, near the city of Patras in Greece, a living painting worthy of Alfred Hitchcock unfolded in the sky. Thousands of starlings gathered into a huge flock and began to fly as if guided by an invisible hand. The flock would compress into a dense sphere, then expand, then change shape like a giant living cloudy ball. It seems like there must be a leader, but in reality, each starling simply orients itself by its neighbors, adjusting its speed and direction. Watching this is like watching the sky breathe, creepy and beautiful at the same time. Have you ever heard the expression cloud ground? That is the most well-known type of lightning, when a powerful electric discharge goes from cloud to the surface of the earth or vice versa. It sounds dry and scientific, but that is exactly what happens in one of the videos. A huge electric discharge literally connects the sky and the ground, accompanied by a blinding flash and a powerful thunderclap. In words, it is physics. On video, it is as if the heavens are trying to reach down to us with a hand. Imagine the 1980s, and someone suddenly pulls out an iPhone 13. What would people think? A mirror? A toy? Magic? Recently, a viral clip appeared online in which a man in Hiroshima holds in his hands a device that looks very much like an iPhone 13. He looks into it the way we look into our smartphones now. The internet exploded. Theories about time travel, parallel worlds, and hidden technologies filled the comments. But later fact-checkers uncovered the truth. This fragment is from a Japanese series called The Woman Who Knew Too Much, filmed in 2023. No time travelers, just a lucky shot that played perfectly on social media. Now let us move on to animals that behave so strangely that it looks as if they are taking part in some kind of ritual. First, China, Inner Mongolia. A camera records dozens of sheep walking in a perfect circle. They walk and walk and walk and do not stop. This went on for 12 days in a row. People called it a creepy ritual and tried to understand what was going on. The next shot is already in Russia. A drone rises above the tundra, and we see a herd of reindeer also moving in a circle. From above, it looks mesmerizing, but also a little scary, as if someone invisible is setting their trajectory. In Kentucky, during a recent total solar eclipse, hundreds of people gathered on a football field, waiting for a moment of awe. But what happened left many unsettled. As the sky darkened, cameras captured the eclipse with disturbing clarity. The footage showed light bending and fading in ways that seemed unnatural, as if the atmosphere itself were reacting to something more than a passing shadow. It did not look like the eclipses they had seen in books or on television. Some viewers were thrilled by the level of detail. Others admitted that it frightened them. This was filmed over the Mutha River in Pune, India, where the sky turned into something out of a nightmare. Crowds froze as thousands of insects filled the air, twisting into narrow, swirling columns that looked like living tornadoes. The videos showed a dark funnel stretching and rolling over the river, its shape moving like smoke caught in the wind. The clips quickly went viral, sparking debates on social media. Entomologists explained it as a combination of warm air currents and swarming behavior, but not everyone was convinced. And how did this scene affect you? In this disturbing clip, evening in Salvador, Brazil, made everyone fear for their lives. The sky itself seemed to tremble. A dull, mechanical rumble rolled through the air, heavy and relentless, as if a giant engine were hidden somewhere behind the clouds. Soon, clips began to spread online, showing that on that same day, the same strange sound was heard in other parts of the world. In New Jersey, residents even claimed their radio cut out and was replaced by indistinct, inexplicable signals. These days, people talk about a different kind of cloud control. Are aliens using clouds as cover? Back in July 2025, Hector Garcia from Philadelphia looked up and saw something he would never forget. A translucent, shape-shifting mass hovered above his street. It glided along the power lines, shimmering with tiny lights, before slipping away behind the rooftops. Some people looking at it see what seemed to be glowing or flickering lights inside this amorphous clump. And it appears that this object is moving intelligently toward a target. This is just wild. In Los Angeles, early risers witnessed a sunrise unlike any other. Deep red streaks stretched across the sky, blending with heavy dark clouds and making the scene feel almost alien. Many people stopped to take pictures. The colors were so intense they seemed unreal. Some blamed smoke from wildfires. Others thought it was pollution, while some insisted it was simply nature putting on a rare show. Whatever the cause, the city woke up to a sight that kept people talking for a long time. In California, a man recently filmed a breathtaking spectacle that seemed completely out of place. The night sky lit up with glowing colors, swirling and shifting like the northern lights. But California is not where auroras usually appear. The lights flickered over the coastline, moving in patterns that left onlookers standing in awe. While some suggested it was a rare atmospheric effect, others were not so sure. Whatever the cause, the footage captured a moment that felt both beautiful and mysterious. On the 28th of September 2025, a driver speeding along a highway in Guadalajara, Mexico, noticed something that left him stunned. In the clouds above him hovered a metallic round object, partially hidden as if it were using the sky itself as cover. He quickly grabbed his phone to record. The video shows the object slowly gliding between the clouds, almost intentionally concealing itself. Even so, its shiny surface kept catching the light. To him, it clearly was not a drone. It was something else. Strangely, no other reports from locals in the area came in. Even though the clip spread online, no one else claimed to have seen the metallic craft that day. From Thailand to kitchens around the world, some recent food videos have left people more alarmed than hungry. In August, a family opened their sushi at home, only to discover that it glowed with a strange fluorescent blue color. All of this started happening from the year 2020 and continues to this day. I mean, just look at this. Another clip appeared where a woman tries to cut a cabbage that stretches and bends like rubber instead of snapping apart. And now I'm trying to stretch it. Look, it will not tear. It will not tear. I think it is not real. Things got even stranger when people began testing their cheese. Processed slices burned in a bizarre way, hardening like plastic, while natural cheese burned the way you would expect. Wow, look at that! It is not melting. And as if that were not enough, Some reports even claimed that plastic had been mixed into certain vanilla ice cream. These clips raise a frightening question. How much of the food we buy is actually what we think it is? Is it time to call for a boycott of the stores? On the 30th of May, 2025, in British Columbia, a mountaineer filmed something absolutely unbelievable. Seriously, you will not believe this. A giant column of shimmering lights rose up from behind the mountains, reaching high into the night sky. At its top, the light curved and formed a huge ring, just like a portal opening above the earth. Even stranger, this was not his first encounter with it. He claims he has seen it before, and each time the phenomenon appeared closer. He admits he cannot say whether it is a rare natural event or a real portal. Considering reports of unusual sky phenomena across the world, this footage put many people on edge. And while we are wondering what that was, on the other side of the planet, something else is happening that makes you think even more. A man relaxing on a beach noticed something unusual in the sky. It was not the quick flash of a meteor, but a slow, fiery streak falling downward toward the ocean. Its movement seemed too deliberate, almost controlled, unlike any fireball he had seen before. For a moment, it resembled a rocket launch, but the angle and speed did not match. When the burning trail disappeared beneath the waves, he was left in shock, wondering what had just fallen from the sky. On a hill in an unknown location, a recording was made capturing a strange light unlike anything familiar. A bright blue streak shot upward into the sky before transforming into a glowing orange ring that hovered above the clouds. The exact time and place remain unclear, but the sight was mesmerizing. Some believe it was just an atmospheric effect. Others point to something more inexplicable. Either way, the eerie glow made many people wonder what kinds of phenomena are unfolding right above our heads. Drivers describe this scene as apocalyptic. Thousands of birds swept over a Texas highway. These birds suddenly swarmed the sky above the busy road in Mesquite, near Dallas. The road looked normal until the sky began to darken. Drivers quickly realized this was not a storm. It was a massive flock of birds circling and diving in every direction. One driver lowered the window, and you can hear a loud screech echoing through the air. At one point, a wave of birds burst out from behind the power lines, moving as one, which made the sight even more shocking. The video was filmed off the coast of Florida on the 23rd of September 2025 by a fisherman who went out to catch grouper. But he was shocked to see a massive ring in the middle of smoky clouds, glowing with orange light. At first it looked like a storm was forming, but since he did not understand what was happening, he asked the internet. Then another person, on the same date but on the other side of the world in Brazil, filmed this mysterious sight. It is almost identical, but a bit different. A tourist in São Paulo recorded a much darker cloud formation, with an orange section inside the hole. Unlike the previous one, this was in the middle of the sky. Then, on the 3rd of October, 2025, a local resident of Iraq filmed this. At first, he was afraid that the American army had returned, but that was not the case. One evening in Florida, a group of friends driving home suddenly slowed down. Above them, the clouds had formed a glowing, perfect ring, like a gateway to the stars. Meteorologists explained it as an unusual atmospheric quirk, but everyone who watched that ring fade away felt something else. For a moment, it did not feel like the work of nature, but rather like something greater, quietly revealing itself. The next clip was filmed on Manitoulin Island, Lake Huron, North America, and it shows 5 classic disc-shaped craft slowly rising above a distant ridge. Locals who saw it in person are convinced that this area may be a secret hotspot of increased UFO activity. Looking at the footage, it is hard not to wonder, could this be real or just a carefully staged fake? Late at night in New Jersey, a glowing object appeared over a quiet neighborhood, hanging motionless in the sky. Locals gathered in the street, pointing their phones at it, trying to figure out what they were seeing. None of them could, but one man got so angry that he decided he could shoot it down. And as the clip shows, his aim did not work. The object simply flew away from them with its mysterious green lights and unidentified shape. For everyone who watched, it was clear that this was not a drone, but one of the many strange things happening all over the world. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. A man on Twitter under the name Farm Boy recorded something unusual in his fields and shared it with the world. In his video, he points to rows of sunflowers, but instead of following the sun as they should, these ones turned away from it. Normally, sunflowers use a process called heliotropism, moving along with the sun's path each day to absorb as much light as possible. But here, they were rejecting the sun. Farm Boy explains that corn and beans have no choice. They grow straight upward, but sunflowers are different. They are supposed to reach for the sun. Seeing them turn away, he admitted he had no idea what caused it. Whether this is true or not, one thing is clear. Something strange really did happen on that farm, and the video made many viewers scratch their heads. On the 15th of August, 2025, a passenger flying from Atlanta to Toronto filmed something outside the plane window. Something that, according to NASA, should not be possible. Sitting by the window at an altitude of about 34,000 feet, he was recording the sunrise with a Nikon P900 camera. The footage shows the sun rising, but not from the horizon. Instead, it appears from behind a thick layer of clouds, while the horizon is clearly visible in the background. If the sun really is 93 million miles away from us, then why does it seem to rise out of the middle of the clouds rather than from a distant horizon? The clip quickly spread across social platforms, with people calling it proof that official science is hiding the true distance to the sun. The heat reached a point that shocked people. Videos showed cars in the streets that looked deformed. Panels had swollen, bumpers bulged outward, and the protective wrap had become soft and wavy, as if the metal were melting from the inside. Similar footage appeared from China, where sudden temperature spikes left vinyl trim puffed up, and cars strangely distorted. Wild theories began to spread. Some said this was proof of failed weather experiments. Others whispered about heat waves being artificially generated to attack major cities. What do you think about this? After a storm, a man went outside expecting to see the usual wet ground and puddles. But what he saw made him freeze in place. Scattered along the street were strange black clumps. Some tiny, others slowly merging into larger moving shapes. At first he thought they were mosquito larvae clustering together. But when he leaned closer, the bits looked metallic, almost alive, moving in a way that did not seem natural. Nummer eins. Soon after a wave of thick, poisonous-looking fog drifted through a city, residents woke up and found something disturbing outside. Hair-like strands had begun to sprout from the ground, glistening with the morning dew. At first glance, they looked like cobwebs, but on closer inspection, they seemed alive, growing, spreading. Scientists suggested guesses ranging from fungal filaments to airborne microbes or even fibers triggered by chemicals in the fog. But many locals connected it directly to that eerie haze, wondering whether the pollution in the air had somehow transformed whatever lives beneath our feet. For those who saw it, the strange fibers felt less like a curiosity and more like a quiet warning. When the sky changes, sometimes the ground answers. Although this happened back in April 2023, the process has not stopped since. In Kenya, enormous cracks tore open in the ground, spreading across fields and roads, and footage of the shifting earth quickly went viral. Geologists explain that this is part of the East African Rift, a slow but massive process in which the continent itself is splitting apart. Over millions of years, it may create an entirely new ocean, separating the Somali and Nubian plates. Scientists emphasize that this is happening at a rate of only a few millimeters per year, though such dramatic ruptures can appear suddenly. Many people link this to ancient prophecies, warning of a time when the Earth itself would redraw its map. Skiers in a Chicago winter were stunned when the sky lit up with a massive glowing ring whose edges flared into 4 bright rays, forming a perfect cross. Phones were pulled out immediately as people whispered about signs and symbols, convinced they were witnessing something otherworldly. Meteorologists later explained it as a parhelion, a sundog, a rare effect caused by sunlight refracting through ice crystals in the air. But when the same formation appeared again the following year, theories spread even faster. Some claimed it was proof of a crystal dome over our world, while others suggested that the sky itself might be hiding secrets we are only beginning to understand. In South Africa, locals were stunned to discover something enormous right in the middle of a crater. At first, it looked just like a massive rock, nothing unusual. But when people began to study it more closely, the details did not quite add up. Its shape seemed too deliberate, its position too perfect. Some suggested it might be an art installation, but there were no records of anyone ever installing it there. Recently in Utah, several people filmed a shiny human-like figure floating high in the clouds, and the footage spread across social media in a matter of hours. Drivers and locals captured the same eerie sight, a tall, metallic silhouette hanging almost motionless in the sky. Viewers tried to dismiss it as drones and editing, but most people pointed to Project Blue Beam. Even fact-checkers could not explain most aspects of this video. A video posted on Twitter on the 1st of October 2025 claimed to show something incredible: entire cities on the dark side of the moon. The clip was said to be leaked from a top-secret NASA mission between 1965 and 1968, where humans supposedly built settlements with the help of a mysterious company. At first glance, some people dismissed it as nothing more than lava flows or molten rock, but others pointed out that the shapes looked too structured, too organized to be natural formations. If this footage is real, then we might have to ask, are these human-made bases? Or is there something else living up there that we do not know about? In Iran, a recent storm left people staring in bewilderment. When the rain stopped, the beaches along the coast were stained a deep red, so vivid that it quickly earned the name Bloody Rain. Locals filmed what was happening, their voices uneasy, as the waves carried crimson-colored water over the sand. Scientists quickly proposed explanations, suggesting that the color could come from dust storms, carrying red mineral particles, or possibly from an algal bloom mixing with rainwater. In Qingdao, China, people noticed something that looked like a scene from a science fiction movie. A strange beam of light shot upward from the top of a building, rising so high that it seemed to reach the sun. The clip spread quickly online, and viewers could not agree on what they were seeing. Some were convinced it was a gateway to another dimension, while others thought it might just be a light pillar, where ice crystals in the air reflect sunlight into bizarre shapes. But the way it lined up perfectly with the sun made people wonder whether this was something more than just random weather, a natural anomaly, human technology, or something we are not meant to understand. On the 11th of September, 2025, pilgrims in Medina noticed something unusual over the Holy Mosque. A glowing object hovered over the minaret of Al-Masjid an-Nabawi, drawing the eyes of everyone who looked up. At first glance, one might think it was a drone or perhaps a falling meteor, but the way it froze in place made it even stranger. Authorities suggested that it was probably a drone. Even so, many remained unconvinced. If it was not man-made, then what exactly was watching them from above? A Reddit user recently filmed something incredible in the sky over Austin, Texas, and people still cannot figure out what it was. The footage shows what looks like a massive crack tearing through the clouds, almost as if the sky itself had split open. It did not look like a storm or any ordinary weather phenomenon. That is why the video went viral. Thousands of people shared their theories, some calling it a glitch in the Matrix, convinced that reality itself had broken for a second. We have all seen strange UFO clips online, but this new phenomenon captured on camera is absolutely unbelievable. Footage taken near the Large Hadron Collider outside Geneva, Switzerland, shows clouds beginning to twist and thicken as if being sucked into some invisible force. As the vortex intensified, a small glowing point suddenly appeared at its base. Within seconds, it shot upward at a speed no plane or drone could match and vanished straight into the swirling mass. The first part might have been dismissed as a bizarre, never-before-seen weather event, but the final moment changed everything. The United Nations is requesting more than $41 million to fight the worst locust infestation in Madagascar. Half of that amount is needed by June to try to save the country's crops. About half of Madagascar is currently infested, and each swarm consists of billions of insects. Locust plagues are no longer just ancient legends. They are happening again, and they are larger than ever. From the crisis in Madagascar in 2013 to massive waves in Russia, Bahrain, and across Africa and the Middle East, the insects have returned with frightening force. In 2019, one swarm in Bahrain became so dense that it brought traffic to a standstill, a moving black cloud swallowing farms and roads. But the Bible, the book of the prophet Joel, and the plagues of Egypt describe the same thing. Waves of locusts, stripping fields bare in days. Back then, this was seen not just as a disaster, but as a warning. In these spooky frames is the Rimac River, flowing through Lima, the capital of Peru. Suddenly, its water became bright red. Local residents were in shock. This is the main source of water in the region, and here the river suddenly looks as if tons of blood were poured into it. At the same time, the authorities assured that the water is still safe for drinking. People had no understandable explanation, so rumors stretched out, from industrial pollution to curses. An official version that satisfied everyone never appeared, and from this, the frames seem even more sinister. In a quiet residential area, someone noticed a strange picture and managed to film everything. A group of turkeys was walking in a perfect circle, again and again going around one and the same trajectory. In the center of the circle, at the same time, lay one bird, almost not moving. The video got onto the internet, and it took off. Someone called this a bird cult. Someone joked about the end of the world and dark rituals. It is funny that outwardly, for the summoning of demons, everything was there, both the circle and the victim in the center. Only the demons themselves were missing. But, alas, no one came. Now imagine, you are on a cruise liner in the middle of the ocean, admiring the sunset, and suddenly the sky begins to pour birds on you. On one of the liners, people first decided that this is snow, but having looked closely, they understood. Over the ship are hundreds of birds. They circled over the deck, flew into cabins, sat down everywhere, as if this is their ship. In the recording, it is audible how the operator irritably comments on what is happening, and he can be understood. Later, the captain announced over the loudspeaker that a storm is ahead, and the birds, most likely, took the huge ship for a safe shelter. It is difficult to blame them, but the spectacle in the ocean is, putting it mildly, unusual. In the state of Maharashtra, India, there's a place that locals call a section where gravity goes crazy. In one video, it is visible how a man spills water from a mountain, and instead of flowing down, the stream as if rises up the slope. It seems that the water violates all laws of physics. Many repeated this experiment, and the result was always the same. Some explain what is happening by strong ascending currents of wind. Others are sure that something mysterious acts there. Be that as it may, this is one of the strangest places in India. Several days after Storm Babe, which fell upon Mugdock in Scotland, a man was walking with his dog along a familiar path, and suddenly he noticed that the soil under his feet is moving. The forest floor rose and fell, as if making an inhale and exhale. It turned out that the wind during the storm was so strong that it lifted whole layers of soil where the roots of trees went not deep. As a result, part of the forest bedding began to walk like a tablecloth on a table. The man confessed, in his whole life, he has not seen anything similar, spooky and mesmerizing at the same time. Here is a spectacle that you will definitely not see every day. In the Murmansk region, a herd of reindeer turned into a real living cyclone. Hundreds of animals ran in a circle, forming a dense rotating mass, similar to a furry tornado. People observing this tried to understand why they do this. One of the versions, veterinarians with vaccines were nearby, and the animals sensed a threat. Such behavior is a method of defense. When the herd spins, it is more difficult for a predator to choose a concrete victim. It turns out, not only we are afraid of injections. Not only reindeer walk in circles. Similar behavior was seen in dolphins, elephants, sheep, and especially in army ants. These ants are blind and orient themselves by smell. Sometimes one of them makes a mistake and turns to the wrong place. The rest go after him along the left trail, and so a circle is formed. New participants constantly join the ant carousel, thinking that they are moving in the correct direction. As a result, a huge spiral is obtained, along which the ants walk until they die from fatigue. A small mistake, and everyone ends up in an endless loop. A grim but very visual metaphor. Not far from Mount Macedon in Australia, there's a place that locals call the anti-gravity hill. In the video, a girl places a bottle on the road, expecting that it will roll down the slope. But instead of this, the bottle slowly begins to move upwards. No one pushes the object. It is empty around, and an impression is created that gravity decided to make an exception. Skeptics explain everything with an optical illusion. Due to the peculiarities of the landscape, the eye incorrectly perceives the slope. But you must agree, when you see this with your own eyes, you want to believe in something more serious than simply a deception of vision. On one of the beaches of Iran, on the island of Hormuz, after a strong rain, the water by the shore suddenly became bright red. It seemed as if the sea itself turned into something from a horror movie. However, this phenomenon has a logical explanation. The soil on the island is very rich in iron oxide and has a saturated red shade. When the downpour passed, the water washed this soil into the sea, and the coastal strip became scarlet. It looks alarming, almost infernal, but in fact, this is just another trick of nature. Among the multitude of strange phenomena in the sky, this case from Canada is one of the most impressive. A man late in the evening went out for a walk and noticed a strange light above himself. He took out his phone and began to film. After a few seconds, the sky flared up with pillars of incredibly bright light, as if several vertical portals opened in the sky. Scientists say that these are merely light pillars, an effect of light reflection from ice crystals in the air. But many do not really believe in this. Someone sees signs in this. Someone, portals. And which camp do you belong to? In the year 2014, off the coast of King Island in Tasmania, a truly tragic event occurred. Hundreds of pilot whales piled onto the shore, and no one understood until the end why. This was one of the largest cases of mass beaching of whales in the history of this place. Rescuers did everything they could, tried to return the animals to the water, but the majority, unfortunately, died. Officially, they spoke about possible disorientation. Locals suspected the influence of sonars or underwater interference. One popular theory states, in the group, there might be one leading or sick whale who veers off course and goes closer to the shore, and the rest, being very cohesive and social, follow him to the end. Imagine you open the window in the morning, and in the sky there is not one, but two suns at once. Does it sound like a dream or science fiction? Exactly such a thing one man saw. He instantly grabbed his phone and began to film, because otherwise no one would have believed him. On the recording, one bright sun is visible, and a little higher is another glowing ball. People argued whether this is a rare optical illusion connected with the atmosphere or something far more unusual. How would you explain this? In another video, a man was walking through a park somewhere in Southeast Europe and noticed an oddity. A stream of water was literally pouring from the trunk of a tree. It looked as if a tap is hidden inside the trunk. Later, the video was shown to specialists, and they explained, strong rains overfilled the underground waters, and they found an exit through the hollow trunk. If we did not know the explanation and saw such a thing ourselves, many would decide that this is a clever montage work. In one viral video from Pune, India, people raised their heads to the sky and almost decided that an invasion of aliens had begun. Over the Mutha River, huge dark funnels were twisting, exactly like tornadoes that descended from the sky. Everything looked so apocalyptic that many seriously thought, well, that is it. Here is the end of the world. But, to everyone's surprise, experts then explained, no aliens, no supernatural signs. These were gigantic swarms of mosquitoes, which people nicknamed mosquito tornadoes. Until now, no one really understands where suddenly there became so many of them and why they gathered in such spooky spirals. And what would you have thought, having seen such a thing live? Write your first guess in the comments. This rare and incredibly beautiful phenomenon is called a sun candle, or subsun. And honestly, it looks truly fabulous. Everything happens like this. High in the atmosphere float tiny ice crystals. Sunlight is reflected from them at a certain angle, and in the sky appears a huge bright light pillar, like a vertical beam going away into the sky. It looks like a portal to another world. One can consider this a door to a parallel universe, and one can consider it simply a cunning optical effect. However you call it, the view takes the breath away and remains in the memory forever. Imagine, you're looking out the window, and hundreds of birds are literally falling from the sky in a residential area. Exactly this happened in Mexico. A flock of yellow-headed blackbirds was calmly flying across the sky, when suddenly hundreds of birds abruptly collapsed downwards, as if someone pulled them by invisible strings. Some managed to take off again, but many remained on the ground like that. There was neither a storm nor a strong wind, nothing that could explain what was happening. Someone assumed chemical pollution of the air, others that something mystical occurred. One of the specialists put forward a version. Possibly, a predator crashed into the flock, a hawk or a falcon, and the birds abruptly went downwards, avoiding the attack. But there is no exact answer until now. And from this, the video becomes only stranger. Let us transport ourselves to the year 2019, to the south of Russia. There, a real living storm of insects occurred. A huge swarm of locusts flew onto fields and farms and simply began to destroy everything in a row. Crops, grass, green fields. The insects swept away everything on their path. Farmers tried to defend themselves with nets, sprayed insecticides, but there was almost no use. The locusts behaved as if the whole territory now belongs to it. It covered huge areas, and for people, it remained only to try to save what could still be saved. For some time, total chaos reigned there, until nature finally took a pause. Imagine, you're simply walking along the street under the rain, and suddenly fish begin to fall from the sky. Real, living, fluttering fish. Exactly this happened immediately in several places. People managed to film videos. Under pouring rain, fish fall from the sky and literally slap against the ground, as if that is how it should be. What is happening? Experts explain this with waterspouts, small tornadoes over bodies of water that can suck fish into themselves and throw them for tens of kilometers. When the spout dissipates, all this wealth simply falls from the sky. This story, honestly speaking, is more sad than spectacular. In the year 2023, a beach in the north of Japan turned out to be completely covered with thousands of sardines. Local media wrote that the dead fish stretched in a strip of more than a kilometer. Until now, there is no exact understanding of why this happened. Some assume that the school collided with unexpectedly cold water. Others that the fish got tired, escaping from predators. The picture looked as if it is a frame from an apocalyptic movie. But there is no answer to the question, why, yet. The Arabian Peninsula is already known for its colossal reserves of oil. But this video is like a live illustration for a textbook. A company of guys was driving through the desert and unexpectedly stumbled upon something very strange. Among the sands, a whole river of crude oil was flowing. It flowed along the sand as if it is ordinary water. It is unclear whether this was a natural leak or the result of human intervention, but the footage stunned everyone who saw it. They reported the find to the authorities, and the viewers were left with a simple impression. The riches of the region, it seems, do not even think of ending. This video was filmed already after a powerful natural incident, when water flooded large territories. Millions of spiders had to escape from the flood, moving higher and higher onto the trunks and crowns of trees. As a result, they entwined the branches with dense webs, turning the trees into giant white cocoons. Locals were filming this spectacle on phones. It looked as if the forest was prepared for Halloween. The entire green massif turned out to be wrapped in a thick web. This is definitely not where one wants to end up during a walk. In Thailand, monkeys have long felt like full owners of the streets. But one day everything went too far. During the COVID-19 pandemic in Labri, tourists almost disappeared, and that means the usual flow of food that they brought also disappeared. One day, because of one single small cup of yogurt, a real monkey fight began. Hundreds of animals ran to the food and arranged a mass heap. The video looks like a scene from a movie about urban jungles, where instead of people, there are monkeys fighting for every little piece. At first glance, it might seem that these are frames from a horror movie. Thick red blood flows from the trunk of a tree. But do not be in a hurry to get scared. This is the so-called bloodwood. which grows in some parts of Africa and tropical regions. The red liquid is merely sap. In its composition, there are many tannins which help the tree to defend itself and heal damages. When the bark is damaged, the sap flows out, forming bright red streaks, and then dries, sealing the wound. A natural self-taught doctor. The sky once literally stunned the residents of the Chinese city of Zhoushan. In the evening, it suddenly began to glow with a saturated red color, as if the whole sky flared up with a fire. The video instantly dispersed across social networks. People built the most different theories, from technogenic accidents to signs from above. Later, specialists explained, this is a rare combination of weather conditions and light from fishing vessels, whose searchlights illuminated low clouds. It seems everything is logical, but the feeling as if you are looking at frames of the end of the world does not go anywhere. This strange video was filmed back in the year 2012 in the area of St. John's in the Vale in the Lake District, England. In the frames is a rare phenomenon, which is called the Brocken specter. This is an optical effect in which a person's own shadow is projected onto fog or clouds, seems huge, and is surrounded by a rainbow halo. In the clip, this shadow hovers over a small church in the valley. Science explained this phenomenon long ago, but many still see something almost sacred or mystical in it. And would you be scared if you saw your giant double in the sky? In winter in Alberta, Canada, one of the most unusual optical phenomena caught on camera occurred. The temperature dropped below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind drove snow in all directions. Due to the fact that the source of light was directed upwards, the combination of flying snow and lighting created an illusion that forced many viewers to scratch the back of their heads. The snow seemed to be moving against habitual logic, and the light seemed unrealistically strange. As a result, a spectacle similar to frames from a science fiction movie turned out. Several years ago, the small French town of Unx survived a very unusual raid. Residents were shocked by a sudden attack of thousands of moths, mainly the box tree moth. They were literally everywhere, sticking around windows, swarming around lanterns, flying into yards. Someone blamed street lighting, but before, nothing similar on such scales happened. What do you think could have caused such a crazy invasion? Fortunately, now everything is calm in the town. Among all the oddities that occur in the world, dust whirlwinds are a separate category. In one video, it is visible how a small whirlwind suddenly arises in a crowded place. It lifts dust, small trash into the air, and at the same time tears off and lifts people's clothes, forcing them to scatter. Although such dust devils are usually short-lived and relatively small, sometimes they grow to sizes at which it is better to stay as far away as possible. In this case, fortunately, no one was hurt, but the spectacle was impressive. We have already seen turkeys, deer, and ants spinning in a circle. But the list does not end there. In Baotou, China, a whole herd of sheep began to walk in perfect circles, and did this for 12 days in a row. At first, only a few animals walked in a circle, then dozens joined them, and then hundreds. It seemed as if they were participating in some mysterious sheep ritual. The owner of the farm did not understand what was happening. There were versions about diseases, disorientation, stressful conditions. But there is no exact answer until now. And the fact that such circular behavior is found in different species makes this riddle even stranger. This phenomenon is simultaneously both beautiful and a little creepy. In the Shale Creek Reserve, a woman filmed a rare picture on video. Real fire burning behind streams of a waterfall. Yes, you understood everything correctly. A real flame right behind falling water. This eternal candle is fueled by natural gas coming out of the rock. Science gives a clear explanation, but local residents more willingly believe legends. Some consider this an entrance to another world, Others are sure that forest spirits lit this fire many years ago to guard the land. And which version do you choose? This crazy video was filmed in the Taban Reserve in Lahad Datu, Sabah. In the frames is a real mud volcano at the moment of eruption. Instead of red-hot lava is thick gray mud, which bubbles, rises, and slowly flows out, like from a laboratory experiment. Unlike habitual fire volcanoes, here everything looks quiet. But in terms of power, the processes inside are no less serious. Such volcanoes arise when underground gases push a mixture of water, silt, and clay to the top. The result is such a boiling mud porridge. Admit it, it looks cool, does it not? Several years ago, residents of Manitoba woke up and realized something clearly went wrong. On one of the evenings, every source of light turned out to be covered with moths. Lanterns, the porch, car headlights, thousands of insects swarmed around everything. It seemed as if someone turned on the moth invasion mode. To go out onto the street meant to immediately receive a swarm in the face. Yes, sometimes a surge in insect activity is a normal seasonal phenomenon. But then everything was on a completely different level. On one hand, the spectacle is impressive. On the other hand, it is definitely not what one wants to walk through on foot. This family clearly did not expect such a turn of events during a trip to the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa in approximately 1996. They parked the car by the beach and went for a short walk on the rocks. But upon returning, they saw that their automobile was captured by dozens of giant marine isopods. Those same ones that are also called giant woodlice or sea lice. These strange creatures were already crawling on the beach, but no one thought that they would decide to move into the car. It seemed cozy enough to them there. The family nevertheless reclaimed their car, but it certainly needed several serious washes after that. A guy was skating on a frozen lake high in the mountains when he noticed something strange out of the corner of his eye. Among the snowy peaks in the distance, a bright glow shone. Not a sun glare, not a reflection, but some other alien light spot. He took out a camera and began to film. Later, he posted the video on the network and asked people, "What was that?" The internet, as always, divided. Some decided that this is a rare natural optical phenomenon. Others began to speak about a portal or a door to another dimension. And what do you think? In one Brazilian town, people were genuinely frightened by a spooky spectacle. It seemed that spiders were falling from the sky. One day, hundreds of spiders were as if pouring from above, and the impression was created as if a real rain of spiders is going on. In the video, everything looked so unreal that many decided this is a montage or some camera bug. But everything turned out to be reality. Spiders wove very thin webs that are almost not visible, and the light from the sun fell at such an angle that a sensation was created as if the spiders themselves are hanging in the air. Scary, strange, but at the same time, an absolutely natural phenomenon. A group of people was walking through the forest and stumbled upon something very unusual. Right between the trees lay clouds. White cumulus masses were as if hanging at the level of human height. One guy even tried to catch a cloud with his hands, but of course, he did not manage to grasp it. This looked like a mixture of fog and a real cloud, too dense for ordinary fog and too low for clouds. Most likely, a special combination of cold and warm air played a role here. But no one gave an exact answer, only guesses. How much money needs to be offered to you so that you voluntarily drink such water? In Texas, videos with blue rain recently spread across the network. On one recording, a man approaches a puddle by the road. and the water in it is really blue, this is not a reflection of the sky. Local residents were in shock from such a strange and rare phenomenon. No one could confidently say what exactly caused it. Some spoke about a chemical reaction, others blamed pollution. But one thing is obvious. For people, this became one of the strangest natural surprises in a long time. These impressive frames are filmed in Japan and show a rare natural phenomenon, the so-called liquefaction of soil. During an earthquake, underground waters are squeezed to the top, and the solid-looking ground literally turns into a liquid mass. In the video, it is visible how the soil waves and behaves as if it is not earth, but thick porridge. On one hand, it is mesmerizing to watch. On the other hand, it is very alarming, because the habitual firmness suddenly disappears under feet. A company of guys was walking through the forest and stumbled upon an incredible picture. Water was flowing from a cut tree right out of the trunk. At first, they did not believe their eyes, but coming closer, they saw a real natural fountain beating right out of the wood. Naturally, after the first shock, they did what any curious person would have done: washed their faces and even drank a little of this fresh water. It is lucky to be a witness of such moments, when nature, as if shows secrets that are usually hidden. Over Mexico, a strange smoky ring was recorded in the sky. It looked like a large, dark ring, dense in the center, with more transparent smoke around it. The figure stayed in the air for almost an hour before disappearing. The person who filmed it, Luis Hernandez, was walking to the park when he noticed the ring above him. At first he decided that smoke was coming from some factory, but then he remembered there are no industrial zones nearby at all. This made what he saw even more mysterious. A man from Bakersfield, California, managed to film a strange sight during the day. He noticed under the clouds several dark rectangular objects moving in a perfectly even line. There were dozens of such objects. At first, he decided that these might be Starlink satellites, but he quickly understood that no, these objects were flying too low and were much longer than the familiar Starlink chain. For comparison, the video showed what Elon Musk's satellites look like with the naked eye, and it became clear this was not it. So what was it really? A question that still has no answer. In Anaheim, California, a family was driving to Disneyland and, it would seem, expected to see wonders already there. But the real show began on the way. Right above them in the sky hung a strange form, very similar to a flying saucer. Its lower part glowed with bright iridescent colors, so evenly and beautifully that it was hard to believe that it was just a cloud. The figure did not move, but simply hung in the same place all the time while they were nearby. So the family never decided what it was, a very rare cloud phenomenon or a real UFO. A wildlife photographer in the Big Bear Forest filmed something that truly confused him. The sky that day was clear, but amid the emptiness hung a dark formation. It was surrounded by dense white smoke, which the wind quickly pulled in one direction. But the dark object itself did not move at all. It remained exactly in one place despite the strong wind. This did not fit with familiar Zakonomernity at all. In New Jersey, people noticed an object in the sky that looked absolutely unnatural. Low above the ground, much lower than ordinary clouds, hung a glowing cloud in the shape of a triangle. Its edges were illuminated by a mysterious light, and the shape itself caused an unpleasant feeling. The triangle has long been considered a symbol of everything Zagatachno and mystical, from ancient signs to the eye of providence. Several months ago, videographer Don Delson flew to Hawaii, and there made perhaps the best shot of his life. He saw not just a rainbow, but a circular rainbow, and not one, two at once. Two bright-colored circles, one inside the other, perfectly framed the sun. The sight was stunning and very rare. We usually see a rainbow as an arc because the horizon cuts off its lower part. But in fact, a rainbow is a full circle, and here, Don was able to see it entirely. A surveillance camera in Northamptonshire, United Kingdom, filmed a scene that looked like a glitch in the Matrix. The recording shows a bird that seemed to be stuck in the air. Its wings are spread, it tries to fly forward, but it remains in the same place, as if it had hit an invisible wall. You cannot say that it is just a strong headwind. The position is too stable. The movements are too precise. It looks as if there really is an invisible obstacle in front of it that does not let it fly Dalsh. People driving on a highway in Texas saw a scene that took their breath away. It seemed that the sky was split in two by an invisible boundary. On one side, the clouds glowed with warm orange and golden shades, like a perfect sunset. On the other side, the sky was dark blue, almost night-like. The picture looked completely unreal. Although in fact, this is a natural phenomenon. When two air masses with different temperature and humidity meet, the boundary between them can appear as such a sharp cut of the sky. Can anyone explain what kind of weather phenomenon this is? In 2024, people on a boat in Manchester witnessed a very similar picture. Clouds covered exactly half of the sky, and the other half remained completely clear. The dividing line was so straight and neat, as if someone had drawn a giant brush across the sky and erased the clouds. This puzzled everyone greatly. It seemed that such rovny boundaries in nature simply cannot appear on their own. If you know how this is explained, be sure to tell us. In August 2024, residents of Chengdu in China saw something they would remember for a long time. It was as if 7 suns were shining in the sky at the same time. A woman filmed this from a hospital window. The video shows several bright swateel lined up random, each shining with different intensity. In the description, she noted that she had previously seen the phenomenon of parhelion, when bright spots appear on the sides of the sun. But this was something completely different. With parhelion, light points form a halo around the sun. But here, 7 separate suns standing in a row. No one found a convincing explanation. If you know what this could be, write. You have probably been caught in rain 100 times, but I can confidently say you have definitely never seen rain like this. In a viral video from Vietnam, instead of drops, frogs began falling from the sky. People stood in complete shock as hundreds of small frogs poured straight out of the clouds. They were everywhere. The ground was literally swarming with them. Cars were covered on top. Even the roofs of houses were piled with them. Everything looked as if the city had been captured by some living green army. And the strashne part is that the potok did not stop. They kept falling and falling. As incredible as it sounds, this is really possible, although extremely rare. Such frog bad weather is explained by the fact that a powerful waterspout can suck small animals into the clouds and then spill them already over land. But even knowing this version, what is happening still seems unreal. One man who had only gone out for groceries on the 14th of October, 2021, became a witness to something absolutely incredible. When he looked up at the sky, it seemed to him that an entire city was emerging right in the clouds. High-rise buildings seemed to hang in the air above the ground. He immediately took out his phone, filmed what was happening, and posted it online. The video instantly spread across the internet. Viewers began to write that this could be a rare mirage illusion known as a fata morgana. But the author of the video remained in doubt. Usually, a fata morgana appears over the horizon or over water, the sea, a lake, near the coastline. But here, right in dense clouds above the city. He definitely did not expect to see something like this just on the way back from the store. This year in Brazil, something truly frightening happened. The sun suddenly disappeared behind a strange, dark object, almost like during a solar eclipse, but something was clearly wrong. Around the Svetilo, a dense black smoke began to grow quickly. It spread across the sky literally in seconds, covering the entire city. During a normal eclipse, this does not happen. Scientists always announce the exact dates and time of eclipses in advance. But no one predicted this phenomenon. It happened without any warning. The sky remained gloomy and smoky for almost 2 hours. NASA did not comment on what happened. Not a word. This only fueled the questions. What really happened that day? Let's go to Miami Beach. Vacationers on the beach saw a sight they were unlikely to forget. Around 9 in the evening, 2 bright glowing streaks appeared in the sky. At one end of each, there was a shining light source, and behind it stretched a long raznotsvetny plume. But instead of falling down like meteors, these lights slowly and smoothly glided across the sky. The movement was so even and accurate that many thought it was some kind of aircraft. People stopped doing their things, and began filming everything on their phones. When one of the recordings got on the internet, someone in the comments admitted that they had seen something very similar and still do not understand what it was. In a village in South Australia, a farmer installed a camera near the barn to protect the territory. But one morning it recorded not thieves at all. On the 8th of December, 2024, at around 7 in the morning, the frame was suddenly flooded with bright flashes of light. They appeared and disappeared, as if they were blinking by themselves. That is, they were there, then vanished, as if jumping out of reality and back. Everything looked so unusual that the farmer came up with only 2 versions. Either it was a powerful beam or laser from a drone trying to blind the camera, or something completely inexplicable, like an unidentified object. In any case, the sight looked very Trevojna. In March in Toronto, Canada, a very strange observation occurred. On the 11th, people noticed a bright orange glowing sphere in the sky. Around it there was iridescent cyanea, like a halo. This was definitely not the moon. The object moved through the clouds much faster. And just a few days later, on the 15th of March, residents of Burnaby and Richmond saw similar phenomena in the sky. The shapes were different, but all these objects had the same paralaviushisa colors, despite the fact that strange figures were seen in several places at once, and on a fairly large scale. Specialists still did not give any comments. Now something completely unusual. On the 1st of April, 2025, a strange event occurred over one cathedral in Poland. The top of the Hram spire glowed with a bright blue light, as if it had been charged with energy. The streets at that moment were almost empty, but one man still happened to be outside and managed to film everything. The video quickly spread across the network, and people began to connect what they saw with the theory of free energy. Its supporters believe that ancient buildings, such as cathedrals, were built on special energy lines that sometimes activate and manifest in the form of luminous glow. Last year, the night sky over Moscow suddenly lit up with a bright color. Around 9 in the evening, a bright green glowing object flashed across the sky, flaring on its way. Behind it stretched a long, orange, fiery trail. People who saw this live did not understand. Was it a mysterious object or still a meteor? Previously, they had only seen meteors with white or orange antennae. The next day, the story made the news. Experts confirmed, yes, it was a meteor. The intense green color, according to them, was explained by a high magnesium content in its composition. The next video shocked the internet. A marine biologist was on a research vessel that was heading towards Santa Barbara in California, and it was then that he noticed a strange creature in the air. It had a small dark body and 4 translucent, thin, wing-like extensions. The body shape was very unusual. A sharp front edge, but without visible eyes, a beak, or a face. This alone made it clear. This was definitely not a bird. It also moved strangely, in sharp jerks in different directions at very high speed. The biologist managed to zoom in the image and film a short video before the creature disappeared into the sky. After that, he could not shake the feeling of anxiety. He decided to show the recording to his senior colleagues to try to understand what he had seen after all. What do you think? Is it editing or really a very strange creature? Residents of Quetta in Pakistan were stunned when mysterious lights suddenly appeared in the night sky. Colored streaks of red, orange, and yellow shades spread across the sky, as if someone were drawing swirling patterns with them right in the atmosphere. Nothing like this had ever been seen here before, and no one understood what this phenomenon was. Many immediately decided that it was the Northern Lights, but that is impossible. Quetta is located too close to the equator, and these lights behaved nothing like polar ones. Later, specialists suggested that these could have been lenticular clouds unusually reflecting sunlight, but even they admitted that they were not sure of their explanation. On the 20th of June, 2021, in Ciudad del Carmen in Mexico, it was a clear, sunny day, and suddenly, 2 strange formations appeared in the sky. They seemed to consist of clouds, but their shape did not resemble ordinary cloud patterns at all. Each object looked like 3 flat round discs placed on top of each other. The sight was so unusual that people from different parts of the city stopped and began to film it. But no one was ever able to understand what exactly caused the appearance of these figures and how they formed. Maybe there will be an expert among you? A traveler filmed this video in the area of the Blue Ridge Mountains. A bright blue light suddenly flared up in the night sky. In the center, there was a glowing core, and around it a rapidly rotating spiral twisted. But that was not all. The object began releasing small, glowing spheres, one after another. They scattered in different directions, as if someone were guiding them. And then the spiral disappeared as suddenly as it appeared. The man was sure it was something unearthly, and these spheres could have been something like surveillance devices released onto our planet. One night, a homeowner in California heard a powerful noise, similar to the roar of an airplane engine, very close to the house. He went outside and saw a strange apparatus slowly descending in the distance. A deep roar seemed to come from its engine or exhaust. The object was descending lower and lower, heading straight toward a neighboring house. But as soon as it seemed that it was about to land, it simply vanished, as if someone had switched off its visibility mode, and it became invisible. This made what happened even more frightening. Then, the man decided to tell his neighbors that some mysterious apparatus had visited their neighborhood in the middle of the night. A group of cyclists in the city of Trieste, Italy, was preparing for a night training session. And suddenly, they saw something that definitely was not in their plans. 2 red vertical stripes appeared in the sky. They glowed softly, and it seemed that they belonged to some single object, possibly an aircraft. Everyone stopped and began to examine these lights. The longer they looked, the stranger everything seemed. Because if it was a craft, then one really wanted to ask, is this craft definitely from our world? In Mexico, a group of friends was driving home at night after a party. Not expecting any surprises from anyone, they suddenly saw a bright streak of light appear in the sky. At first, everyone decided that it was an ordinary meteor, but very quickly they noticed one strange difference. This light was not falling down, it was moving up. Everyone immediately had a strange feeling. None of them had ever seen a meteor behave that way. After a few minutes, the light disappeared into the darkness, dissolving in the night sky. A man in Florida was working late at night next to an old warehouse. Suddenly, he noticed a strange glow in the sky. At first, it was a white smoky trail, like an object that was throwing something out behind it. As it descended, the plume became larger and brighter. Since there was no one nearby, he had no one to ask. Now that he has shared the recording, we still do not know what it was. A satellite, a rocket trail, or something that arrived from afar. Perhaps we will never know the answer. On the 12th of October, 2025, a man went up to the roof of his house in Lima, Peru, to breathe some fresh air. But he saw something he absolutely did not expect. Bright, shimmering lights flashed in the cloudy night sky. The strangeness was that they twinkled not like stars. They seemed to switch on and off, as if someone were pressing an invisible switch. Then, the colors began to change. Some lights became red, like signals on cars. They stayed in the sky for almost 2 hours, and then disappeared. What do you think it could have been? This clip may not be real, but it definitely deserves attention. The author claims that the video was filmed in Vietnam. In it, a dark object suddenly falls out of the clouds. As it falls, it leaves behind a thick black plume, very similar to smoke. The strangest thing is that some clouds seem to fall along with it, descending toward the ground before the frightened people's eyes. But the author did not indicate an exact date, nor the year, nor what it all ended with. Because of this, many doubt that the video is real. On the 9th of April, 2024, in Mexico, something happened that is hard to fit into familiar schemes. A glowing figure of a strange shape appeared in the night sky. People were both afraid and unable to take their eyes off it. The most unusual thing was that the light was constantly changing shape. Sometimes it stretched into a bright red stripe across the sky, and a moment later turned into a blinking sphere. The changes happened so quickly that no one managed to catch the transitions on camera. Later, experts stated that it was only signal flares or glare from satellites and space stations. But to the eyewitnesses, this explanation seemed too convenient, as if someone were trying to hide something more mysterious. This sight not only shocked, but truly frightened the eyewitness. In September 2025, a man from Tucson, Arizona, filmed strange lights that began to appear from beneath the clouds. It seemed as if an elongated ship, glowing red, green, and white, was slowly emerging from the sky. The lights constantly changed, as if this object was slowly descending. The man was so frightened that he decided something interstellar had entered our orbit. But he did not wait for the outcome. He quickly left the place, and therefore, we still do not know how it ended. A very strange event occurred in the Chinese city of Chengdu. A man recorded this video near an old building, next to which a new engineering complex had recently opened. One evening, he heard a loud rumble from there. Running closer, he saw a strange glowing spot in the sky. Its shape was blurred, but completely unusual. Everything looked as if something had broken through into our world from another dimension. And he could not get the thought out of his head that the source of this phenomenon might be connected precisely with the new facility, some mysterious experiment or unfamiliar technologies. In Sydney, Australia, a man went out at night to take out the trash and could not even imagine that he would see this. The clouds above the houses were illuminated by a bright orange light, as if the entire sky had caught fire. It was not ordinary light from the city, and not lightning. Something completely different. No one in the city had seen anything like this before. When the guy zoomed in the image on the camera, the glow began to look like huge glowing spheres, slowly moving, like ships emitting a powerful light. The very thought of it made him uneasy. He stopped recording and hurried back into the house. On the 29th of October, 2025, a Japanese amateur astronomer decided to test his new high-class telescope and began studying the night sky. And suddenly he noticed a strange giant object just beyond our orbit. It shone brightly, and it seemed that there were hundreds of small lights on it. The man immediately recorded a video and posted it, convinced that he had filmed an alien spacecraft. But specialists quickly cooled the viewer's enthusiasm, stating that it was only the interstellar comet 31P Atlas. However, such an explanation only irritated people's imaginations even more, because strange theories have long been associated with this comet. Some even assume that this is not just a space body, but a kind of probe that allegedly observes Earth, and NASA is only hiding the truth. And here it is interesting. What do you think? Is it just a comet, or something much more complex and intelligent? A resident of San Francisco filmed a truly shocking sight right from the window of his home late at night. In the distance, he saw a bright blue beam of light. It was definitely not lightning. The light did not flicker, did not flash, and did not go out. The beam burned constantly, like a solid column going from the ground into the sky. From that angle, it was impossible to understand where it came from and what kind of technology could create such an effect at all. When the video got online, one version almost immediately appeared in the comments. People in unison began to write that this was Project Bluebeam. And what do you think? People sailing on a cargo ship from Vancouver to Halifax saw a shape in the sky that they could not explain. It emitted bright flashes of light in all directions. But that was not the end of it. A few minutes later, this shape began to change and turned into a long, elongated object. It burned in different colors and emitted a glow resembling a smoky plume. And then, having gone a few more miles, the crew noticed another figure in the sky, resembling a twisting golden ribbon of light. Sailors who have been sailing the seas for more than 1 year and have already seen many strange things admitted. This was the most unusual of what they had ever encountered. This year, a family from Guadalajara went to the town of Mineral del Chico in Mexico for a short vacation. They stayed at the hotel Mineral del Chico. When it got dark, they looked out the window and saw something strange. A glowing sphere, like a small fiery sun, slid along a neighboring hill. But this was not an isolated case. That same night, people from other parts of Mexico also reported similar fiery spheres. If you live in Mexico, maybe you have seen such lights too. You may have already heard about the metallic boggle sphere that was seen in Colombia. But something similar happened here, only over Delaware. And this time, there were 3 objects. A man was driving from Delaware to New York when the weather suddenly deteriorated and the sky was covered with clouds. And suddenly, 3 metallic spheres appeared high in the sky. They formed a perfect triangle. 2 hung higher in the clouds, and the third was lower and perfectly visible. He immediately understood. This did not look like any familiar aircraft. And he was especially alarmed by the fact that these spheres remained in the sky the whole time he was on the road. In 2024, pilot observer Robert Hayes was flying over the glacier area near the McMurdo Dry Valleys in Antarctica. His task was to film from the air any changes in the environment in this barren region where, according to official data, no life had ever been found. But suddenly his attention was drawn to strange movement on the ground. Below, he noticed several giant figures slowly and smoothly moving across the territory. In appearance, they were pohoji on humanoid silhouettes, but disproportionately huge, too large to be ordinary people. From such a height, human figures simply would not be so clearly visible. Robert decided that these creatures were incredibly large. Not knowing whether they were dangerous, he refused to land and did not come closer. He simply filmed everything on camera and returned to the base with this mysterious material. On the 20th of October, 2025, a strange fiery light appeared in the night sky. It hung high, like a burning torch suspended above the ground. But unlike meteors or falling debris, it did not leave behind a long trail. No tails, no streaks. A man who was walking in the park noticed this glow and filmed it. It hung in the sky for several minutes that seemed like an eternity to him, and then simply disappeared. Later, he confessed that this was one of the most mysterious things he had ever seen in his life. Look at this strange formation in the sky. A man filmed it in the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California. The day was absolutely clear, not a single cloud. And suddenly, a single formation appeared in the sky, resembling a dense white mass that moved by itself. It did not resemble ordinary clouds. It was a dense, separate clump that spun, broke apart, and changed shape in some unnatural way. And under it, iridescent shades began to appear. This object did not seem dangerous, but it still frightened with its strangeness. In Sochi, people literally could not believe their eyes. They looked at the horizon and saw a ship hanging in the air. A huge bulk carrier-type vessel seemed to float above the sea line. Eyewitnesses were already ready to believe anything, but when the video got on the internet, viewers explained it was not magic, but a rare optical illusion, a fata morgana. Such a phenomenon occurs when layers of warm and cold air refract light in a special way. As a result, distant objects can seem lifted, floating, or blurred. But even understanding this, seeing a ship in the air still feels like finding yourself inside a mirage. On the 3rd of December, 2025, a man filmed a creepy scene from the window of his apartment not far from the Statue of Liberty. Huge ghostly shadows appeared above the statue. It seemed as if parts of the statue itself had but torn off and hung in the air. There was also a feeling that an entire fleet of incomprehensible objects was hanging above it. According to the eyewitness, these shadows appeared and disappeared for about 5 minutes, and then finally vanished. After the clip was published, one viewer suggested that it could have been a shadow from a powerful light source located somewhere below. But this explanation also did not add up. Shadows cannot simply hang in an empty sky. They need a surface. One night in California, a group of friends saw something very strange in the sky. They noticed a bright flash that moved downward, leaving behind an orange glowing trail. As it fell, the glow weakened and then completely disappeared. No debris or traces on the ground were ever found. They were left only with a recording, by which it is difficult to understand what it really was. A piece of a satellite, a rare type of meteorite, or something much more mysterious. In Florida, residents of one small town woke up and saw something in the sky that made them uneasy. On the 9th of June, 2022, around 11 in the morning, a strange flying object hovered over the area. It resembled a bell, rotated in place at high speed, and shimmered with bright lights. The person filming the video kept panicking off camera. According to him, it looked like some kind of surveillance apparatus. What happened next is unknown. He stopped recording to call the police. Well then, friends, this long episode is coming to an end. If you liked it and you want to watch something else interesting on our channel, then subscribe to the channel and write something nice in the comments to help promote this video. By the way, you can write the keyword rocket in the comments. That is how I will know that you watched until the very end. Thank you all very much for watching, and next, take a look at one of the 2 videos that have appeared on your screen. They are insanely interesting.